Hi all, thank you all for joining me today. My name is Ronald Bouwman and I want to talk about Phase, which is a pet project I've been working on. Phase is spelled P-H-A-S-E and it stands for Pentaho Analysis Editor. And basically what it is a Mondrian cube editor which can be run as a plugin for the BI server. So we can directly in our Pentaho user console create Mondrian cubes, Mondrian schemas and so on. So for this particular demonstration, I want to create a very a simple cube on top of the Sakila sample database. The Sakila sample database is a MySQL sample database, which is an OLTP database schema, which represents a video rental store. So it's not a data warehouse. So we don't have any nice star schemas. We have essentially a tree NF schema. And we're going to build a cube directly on top of that. So let's go ahead and let's log into our BI server and get started. So Mondrian is a roll-up engine, which means that it provides an OLAP view, so a multi-dimensional view on top of a backing relational database store. And in order to do that, Mondrian uses a so-called schema, and the schema is basically an XML file which maps the relational physical things like tables and columns and so on to a multidimensional set of things such as cubes, measures, dimensions, hierarchies, levels, and so on. So let's get started. The first thing we need to do is to create a JDBC connection for our Sakila schema, and for that I'm going to use the built-in data access wizard which comes built in with Pentaho. I'm just going to go there. I'm going to say that I want to create a table data source, and here I have JDBC connection, so I'm going to add one, and I'm going to add Sakila, and Sakila is a MySQL database. It's running on my local host and it's called Sakila, and the user is Sakila and the password as well. So just test this connection over here so we can see that we now have a working connection, and that's it. We can now leave the data access wizard and move on to Phase. So Phase is currently available on GitHub. I'm working to get it into the Marketplace so that you can download it with a single click from within the Pentaho Marketplace. But for now I'm just going to show you what happens if it's already installed. So I'm just going to go to File, New, and then choose Pentaho Analysis Editor. So if I do that, this is the Phase application. It's loading in its own Phase tab over here. And we can immediately see in the tree view over here in the top that it has loaded all the available Mondrian schemas, and I can see footmart sample data stills. I can open them up, see which cubes are inside, and I can see inside the cubes which measures are there and which dimensions are there, and so I can browse the existing ones and edit them if I want to. But now I want to create a new one, so I just hit the new schema button. And I get a new schema in the tree view over here, and I get an editor which I can use to edit this new schema. Right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select the data source. So I'm going to choose the Sakila data source which you already created just before, and as soon as I choose the data source, you can see that it has loaded the database tree view here. So now I have a database explorer, and I can look inside the Sakila database, and I can see all kinds of tables here, and I can see all kinds of views over here, and I can browse it and get some idea what's there. The Sakila schema is a video rental store, and for this particular demonstration I want to build a cube based on the video rentals. So the rentals are stored in the rental table over here. If I crack it open, I can see the columns, and I can see all these little icons over here is the data type. So we've got an integer data type, datetime data type, and so on. And the bold columns indicate mandatory columns. The underlined column is the primary key, so rental ID is the primary key of this table. And we've got these italics columns, which are foreign keys. So this rental table records the fact that some inventory item is basically a film which is kept at a particular store of the Sakila company chain, that a particular inventory item has been rented out to a particular customer, and this rental was handled by this particular staff member. So if we want to build a cube based on this rental table, I just click the new cube button, and I'm going to call this cube rentals. And let's, while we're at it, just let's call the schema Sakila, right? So now we're in our rentals cube, and I'm going to click the diagram, and I'm just going to add the fact table by simply dragging it onto the canvas over here. So now I've created the fact table for this cube. And the next thing I want to do is I want to create a measure. In this particular case, the rental table, we've only got one measure, namely the count of the number of rentals. And because the things like payment data is in another table in payment, so now we can only create one measure, the number of rentals. And to do that, I just drag the rental ID column into the canvas, and this has created a new measure for me. I'm going to call the measure rentals, and I'm going to set the aggregator, which has to be count, because we cannot sum. Well, we could sum the rental IDs, but it doesn't really make any sense. What does make sense is to count the number of rentals, which is what we're doing right now. So this basically defines a very simple cube with only one measure, but to make it interesting for an end user, we have to add dimensions which provide context to this particular rental. I already mentioned the inventory, which forks apart into store and film, and customer and staff. So let's just create dimensions for these particular things. So I just hit the dimension button, and first I'm going to create a film dimension, which comes out of this inventory item. And I want to also create the store dimension, which is also derived from the inventory item. I'm going to create a customer dimension, and of course a staff dimension. Staff, right? Okay, so this is essentially the entire logical schema that I need for this rental cube, right? So the next step is that we have to, of course, define and decorate these dimensions over here. So the way to do that is when I hover over these dimension items, we can see two little icons. I can see this item over here, which would delete this dimension, and this item over here, the little pencil, is the edit button. So if I click the edit button, I'm the film dimension thingy is selected in the tree view, and we've got our dimension editor over here. So again, I could just use the form over here to do stuff, but I prefer to go to the hierarchy and then to the diagram, because that's where I can define the relational properties for this hierarchy. So I already mentioned that so we know that this dimension was connected to the inventory ID in our fact table. So the first step to do is to actually bring this inventory table into our dimension. And since we are so this inventory table gives us the film ID and the store ID, and since we're creating a film dimension right now, we're interested in the film ID because we want to get the actual film title, right? We want to see which films have been rented out. So I just drag the film table onto the canvas as well, and I of course connect the foreign key from the inventory table to the film ID of our film. And very important, don't forget, since our dimension is connected to the fact table via the inventory ID, I have to make the inventory ID primary key of our hierarchy, so that Mondrian knows how to join the fact table to this dimension, right? You can click basically any column, but of course you have to click the right one in order for the result to make sense. So inventory ID it is, right? Because when we go back here, we see that inventory ID was selected here, connecting to the film ID, to the film dimension, and in the film dimension we have, this is the point where the fact table will join to our dimension. And then from inventory to film. So let's create a level for the film dimension. We already got a free new level when we created the dimension. So let's call this film title, and let's connect it to the film table. So we're going to select the film ID as the key for this level. So basically that defines the grouping that Mondrian will use under the covers to present the data aggregated by film title. And we want to use the actual title, the text, the title text, as the name for the members of our level. And with these steps we created a functional film dimension. Right, so let's close this one and move on to store. So same story again. Store was just like film, and it connects to the inventory table. So let's get inventory again, and this time we have to go to the store table. Again we select inventory ID as the primary key, and we connect store ID this time to the store ID from film. And the interesting thing is we can, of course, and we will actually do that, we will create a well, let's just create a simple store ID level. So again I rename the level to store, and we don't actually have a store name, so it's just going to be the ID value, and that's fine for now. We can leave it. There are two in the store table, two more foreign keys, manager staff and address ID, which we could use to further decorate this dimension. But I'm going to show you basically the same process already in the next dimension, in the customer dimension. So let's go there. So customer was directly connected to the fact table. So I'm just going to add customer and select the primary key again. And for customer, we can of course create the customer level, but we have some, and we will do this but in a while, because we have some more interesting stuff to aggregate our customers on, basically because we have an address. So customers are located in all over the world, and we want to be able to navigate across the geographical hierarchy of our customers, so from country to city to actual customers, and in order to do that we have to of course join the customer table to the address table, and the address table has a city ID which connects to the city table, so we connect it as well. So like this, and the city table has a country ID, so we can join that to country, and this pretty much is the end of the line, because we don't have any more foreign keys from country to higher level tables. So we can now create the hierarchies. So first I'm going to create the country hierarchy, the country level. So I'm going to say country ID is the key and country name is the name for our level, and this level is called country. And the next level I'm going to create right here. So this is going to be the city level. Connect the city ID to the key and the city value to the name. And finally we have we could create an intermediate level at the district or whatever, but we won't bother for now. We'll just create a new level for the actual customer itself, which will be customer ID as key, and we're going to take the email address as name. because we have first name, last name, all that kind of stuff, but we don't have any way to directly convert that into a level. But email will do for now, right? Okay, so now we've got a customer dimension. So so we can navigate from country to city to customer, and the final dimension is staff, and staff was connected via the staff ID in the rental table. So we just drag in our staff table, and for staff we won't bother, we won't be very difficult. We just call this a staff member, and we will use the staff ID, and we will use the username as name for this thing. So just let's do a quick check. Let's see if we got all our dimensions right. Yeah, so we have primary key, all the joins on the levels here as well, primary key, and here as well, primary key. Yeah. Okay, so we can take a quick look at our schema in the schema entity here, because we have a source tab, and we can see all this XML which was generated in order to make this dimension work. So basically what we see here is we see the XML representation of all this graphical stuff that we showed before. Yeah, so okay. Okay, I can see that actually not everything has been generated completely well, because we see here that the hierarchy has a primary key table but not a primary key column. For store was that, and we see that for this one it has been generated correctly, and for this one as well. So we have to go back to store and figure out what's wrong there. Yeah, okay, so let's add it again and just try and see if it has worked this time. Yes, store, primary key table, primary. Okay, so let's save this schema, because we've been working on the client side and this Sakila schema has not been saved to the server yet. So I'm going to save that right now, and if all went well, we should now have a Sakila schema. So to check that, I'm just going to open a little query tool I built, which is XML Analyzer, which is based on another project of mine, XML4JS. Let's open it, and we can see that it has actually created the Sakila schema here. So I'm just going to click that cube, and we can see that we have our rentals measure over here and our hierarchies over here. So let's just drag rentals over here, and we can see that we already have a result. Let's look at the film. So let's drag title in the mix, so we can see all the film titles and the number of rentals for each film. So let's see which customers were actually renting those films. So we're going to go by country. This is going to take a while, I guess. Yeah. So we can see that we have a lot of countries, which, well, doesn't really make sense, but it's a sample database, right? So we can see all these countries which our customers were in. So let's get this level out again, and let's look at store rather. So let's say we want to look at store, at the stores here. So we can see we have 2 stores, and the rentals are mixed out over these things. And we can of course add the staff member. So we've got Mike and John, which have been working diligently in these different stores to do all these rentals. Okay, so this was basically my first quick demonstration of Phase. I'm going to keep you posted when Phase gets into the marketplace. Currently it's available on GitHub. Let me show you where you can find it. So in my profile it's in Phase. So right here, if you want to check it out yourself, You can go here. There's some instructions over here which you have to follow up in order to make it work now. And if you give us like a little bit of time, you will be able to find it in the marketplace, hopefully. So finally, I need to point out that this project is a pet project of mine. It's open source. It's Apache 2 licensed, and it's not an official Pentaho product. Nonetheless, I hope you will enjoy using this product, and feel free to to give your feedback in the issues list in the GitHub project. I'd be very happy to get your feedback. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you can enjoy Phase.